Alright. I'm going to be making a jerk bait today. I'm going to go through the steps, film it, and show y'all how it's done. This is the design I have settled on. It's going to be about 4 inches. We'll see. I'm going to make it out of this piece of acacia, a very pretty wood. It's not too dense. It's denser than like poplar and pine, but it should make a pretty good bait. It should be noted, if you don't have acacia, poplar is going to be an all-around pretty good wood to use for fishing lures. Alright, I'm going to cut this out, take it to the bandsaw. Alrighty. Alrighty. Let's cut it out. To the bandsaw. Here's the rough profile. Let's take it to the belt sander to clean it up. That'll be the rough profile sanded down. I forgot to cut the lip slot, so I'm going to do that now, and then we'll add the chamfers to the sides. Alright, there's the lip slot. It's not as wide as it needs to be, but I'll fix that with a file. And for the lip, I'll be using Lexan polycarbonate sheeting. Get it at pretty much any home goods store. Alright, let's shape up that lip slot and do the chamfers. I guess we'll cut the lip out as well. Here's a lip crankbait I did just yesterday. Should be ready to fish with. Alright. Generally for the lip, just use a Dremel bit like this for the circumference of a half circle, and that seems to work pretty well. For this, let's see. Right, any straight edge will do. This will be chamfered along, well, all of it will be chamfered, so you're going to want to estimate where it's going to be so you can make the lip width on the bottom how it's going to be on the bait itself. However, it doesn't have to be quite perfect so long as it works. Alright, and that will work. Let's get it cut out and test fit it on the bait. Alright, I went ahead and cut that lip out on the bandsaw, widened the gap on the bait itself, and it fits in there nice and snug. And this is where the edges don't meet. It's going to be where I do the chamfers. I'll draw those now though, just for a reference point, but we're on our way. Alright, before chamfers, I'm going to need to bring in the head so that it matches with that lip bait. It's about right there. You want to be pretty accurate to each side. That said, I'm still eyeballing it. And then on the tail, do the same. Alright, let's cut those lines. Alright, and we'll sand these smooth again like we did before. Alright, you've got that profile. Hold on. Focus. Nope, over here. Alright, so we've got those edges cut down. So the body is much closer to the shape it'll be when it's actually done. Now we're going to chamfer the edges, chisel them down, and then sand them smooth. A good rule of thumb for when you're drawing chamfers, if you put your pinky up against the side and just hold the pencil on your pinky where you want the distance to be from it, and you keep it right there the whole way, you'll get very accurate and straight lines. Alright, get our chisels and carve it down. Normally I would put the lure in to the vise, but Acacia's easily dented, and I think that would just dent it, so I'm just going to have to hold it by hand and carve it. So hopefully I don't cut off one of my fingers. Let's move it over here though. Acacia is pretty soft. It's very pleasant to carve if you have sharp tools. Go against the grain though, and it will tear out very easily. Like that. That's a pretty significant tear, but it was on the line still, so we're good. Alright, that is roughly carved. Now with a sander, well, with sandpaper, I will smooth it all out. A nail sanding, grit sander thing, this thing, they normally have 80 and 110 grit on either side. So it's really nice to shape and finish the body for the lure. Alright, I have shaped this thing all up, sanded it nice and smooth, and now I'm going to attach the hook hangers and the lip, and then we should be good to seal. I am just not centering today. Alright. 3 hook hangers and line tie. Alright, let's take them out and glue them in. Normally I use Extreme Power, the thin. Focus. Normally I use the thin super glue. They were out when I was at Hobby Lobby, so medium it is. It makes it a little bit more difficult when sealing it, especially when putting the weight in with super glue and baking soda, but it still works nonetheless. Alright, those 3 are glued in. Once they're dry, you'll be able to start sealing. Well, I guess we'll do the weight first. Well, first let's glue in the lip. There we go. That's good. That will dry and we will be set. And once that's dry, we will do the weight and then seal the bait. Alright, that should be, hold on. Alright, this is all sealed and good to go. Now going to, let's see, I'm going to cut the hole for the weight. It's probably right here. Got one of these bigger ones and then 2 of these smaller ones. I'm going to tear these ones in half. Right, that should be good to, once it focuses, put the smaller ones underneath that, put that one on top, glue them up, cover them in baking soda and more glue. We've got the 2, I guess 3 weights in there. They're in line and snug, so we'll go ahead and glue them in, actually. Just like that. A little bit more though. Alright, that's good. Grab some of that. I don't think you can see that. There we go. Shake it off. Add a little bit more. Pat it down. Alright. This will do. Clump up just a little bit, but once it's dry and hardened, you can just file that down and it should be good. Alright, I'm gonna wait for that to set, file it down, then we'll seal the bait. Alright, so that should be all nice and covered. It's gonna be dripping as well. You want the entire thing coated for sure. You don't want any water getting into the wood grain when you throw it in. So if it's a little bumpy, that's fine. You can sand it after it's dry. So then just kind of hold it around and wait for it to dry. And once it is dry, do a light sanding and that's pretty much it. Alright, it is set, the glue is dry. I went ahead and sanded it with 320, so it's a bit of a smoother painting surface. That is why it looks all musty and stuff, but since you'll be painting it, that doesn't really matter. I won't be painting it in this video, because you can paint it however you want to. There's not really any tips for that besides using an air gun, I guess. It's going to be a lot harder with a brush, just going to leave brush strokes and whatnot. But yeah, that is, what are these bars doing? Go away. That is how you make simple jerkbait. Thanks for watching.